Faster, higher, stronger, the world famous motto of the Olympic Games and a goal for each athlete to strive for. Now, can summer sports games on the Switch live up to that prestigious target, or does it need to spend more time at a training camp? Let's find out in my review of summer sports games on the Nintendo Switch. Now, I've always been a big fan of these sort of games, and for me the kings are still track and field and hyper sports from the days of the arcades of the early 80s. To this day, I'm not sure the simple gameplay has ever been bettered from those games. Hammering 2 buttons to run and another to jump, throw or breathe was incredibly tactile and in lots of ways felt very athletic, more so than any other arcade game at the time, which did help you feel more connected to the experience. As home consoles have got more complex, developers have tried to overcomplicate that original control system. And the reason I'm talking about control schemes so much is that games live or die by them, and whilst Summer Games suffers from many other issues that could be its demise, its controls are probably its final undoing. It's not so much that they're bad per se, but more of an issue of their implementation. The biggest issue is that controls are not explained at all. Each of the game's 12 sporting mini-games load up and then you're just expected to guess the controls and get on with it. Generally, tapping A will make your ugly looking avatar run, and B is usually for jumping and other actions, but events like the high jump and weightlifting introduce more complicated controls that only pop up as prompts on the screen when they're needed, leaving you with a fraction of a second to try and fathom out what the game wants you to do, by which time you've either tripped over or collapsed under 150 kilograms of weights. Repeated plays obviously mean that you'll learn the controls for each event, but it's a lazy and baffling gameplay decision that there's no dedicated tutorial or even a pause screen with the controls listed per event. It makes those early hours an unnecessary frustration. Now, as I mentioned, there are track and field events here, but their pacing is all over the place, with many of the field events grouped together one after another, followed by a number of the track events one after another, ending with some of the longer dragged out events like high jump, pole vault and weightlifting. I don't know why it doesn't run with the traditional order of events in these sort of games, so starting with the 100 metres, then the long jump, hurdles, javelin and so on, which would be a far more interesting mix. As you'd expect in a compilation game, the mini-games are a mixed bag really. The pick of the bunch for me is probably Archery, mainly because it's an event that hides many of the game's poor graphics in favour of something a little more artistic. Plus it's the type of game that anyone can pick up and understand very easily by aiming your wobbly reticle on the target and then take into account the wind direction and strength before firing your arrow for the bullseye. Where summer sports games suffers gameplay wise is in its jumping events. Anything from long jump to hurdles all have the same issue, which is a large ugly target on the ground to signify where to begin your jump. It's off-putting and due to the unresponsive controls never seems to marry up when you actually need to press the jump button. The worst event is probably the high jump, where you do your run up to the jump area, press the jump button and then everything just stops dead for a few seconds. It took me a few tries to realise that the game hadn't crashed or locked up, but rather had gone into some sort of super slow motion mode for some reason, and eventually you'll slowly rise off the ground and have to time a series of joystick prompts to complete your jump. It's just really jarring and annoying. Of the 12 events, I'd say only 1 or 2 are actually any fun to play, and the rest are on a sliding scale downwards from frustrating to downright horrible. Graphically, the game is poor with janky looking animations, and whilst sound effects are generally okay, the same piece of annoying music is looped constantly in the game, and you'll be wanting to rip your ears off pretty quickly. The saving grace in these sort of games is usually the multiplayer, and whilst there is a local multiplayer mode here with up to 4 players, there's no online option at all. Finally, and perhaps most criminal of all, is there are no leaderboards or even local records stored for each of the events. It may have been something to increase any sort of replayability with this game, but honestly without it, once you've been through one of the 5 difficulty levels once, there's absolutely no reason to return and put yourself through the misery all again, which for $25 and just over £21 is not great value. This is just another poor game, and I'm going to give summer sports games on the Nintendo Switch a 3 out of 10. Okay guys, thanks for watching that review, I really appreciate it, and if you did like it, please drop me a subscribe and leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think of this one, and if you enjoyed those track and field games of the 80s. But anyway, let me know below what you think, and we'll have a little chat about that. Thanks again for watching. Remember to stay switched on, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers guys, bye.